In this video, I'm going to show you how to connect your Baofeng programming cable to the Yaesu 7250 mobile. You could use other programming cables too if they have a similar pinout. I assume I wouldn't try it without risk, but the reason I used the Baofeng cable is because I was worried about blowing up that cable. However, it is working for me. It might not work for you. I don't want to take any liability on that. It's always recommended you buy the correct programming cable. But anyways, I'm going to show you the three most important parts and share some links to a circuit diagram. So here I've used a 4-conductor phone cable with a 6-pin jack. As it's currently oriented, as you're looking at it, the pin on the left is combined TX and RX. I've hooked a black wire to that. The third pin from the left is ground, and I've hooked a green wire to that. Next, we'll look at the end of the programming cable for the Baofeng and how I've connected it to there. So this is a picture I found online. This is how I connected it to the programming cable. And I'm going to show you the end of the cable itself. Here's the end of the cable itself. Probably don't want to use alligator clamps. It's kind of sketchy. Anyways, the green alligator clip is hooked onto the ground. The yellow is hooked to TX. And then this other yellow over here that I've hooked up to this jack is the RX, and that's on that sleeve of the jack pin. All right, here is the interface board between those two connections. This black cord right here with the black, red, green, yellow, that is coming out of the radio. And remember, the black is the combined TX-RX and the green is the ground. I've soldered that into a header on the board, and this is probably going to be pretty hard to follow along, so definitely want to look at the circuit diagram. And I ended up putting together a diagram of the circuit based off of this diagram, which you can find at vr2xraykulopapa.org. That was extremely helpful. So on this diagram, pretty simple, easy. We've got the programming plug that I already have for the Baofeng. I did not care about the plug, the programming cable, or the radio because well, I haven't used this cable in years, and I haven't used that radio in years because of a few different reasons. I have other better stuff that I use. But anyways, I was willing to risk it. Try this at your own risk. It worked fine for me, but I can't guarantee it'll work fine for you. And I don't want to get yelled at. Alright, so the RJ12 connector that's on the radio itself, just for utmost clarity, because I believe the Yaesu manual has the numbering flipped, but either way, the pinout, regardless, is exactly this. The pin on the far left is the TX-RX combined together. The third pin from the left is the ground. Alright, with that being said, looking at this diagram, pin 3, ground, shares a negative ground with the 5-volt external power and shares that ground with the programming cable here on the collar of that pin. Pin 1 from the RJ12 connector goes straight through to the RX pin, and then it goes through this diode, which is a special 1 November 4148 diode. It's not a Zener diode, but it looks like it. And it goes through that to the TX pin, which is in the middle of this right there. And then for the logic to work, we need a 10K resistor hooked to a external 5-volt DC source. Otherwise, you'll get a checksum error, and well, the cable won't work. However, I did notice this setup only works with Chirp. It does not work with other software. Don't know why. And I'm guessing you probably want to see this work, so here we go. I've already got the COM port set up for the same driver that works on the Baofeng, and actually, when I was testing this, I made sure that I was able to successfully upload and download data from the Baofeng radio. And once I knew that the cable itself worked and the driver was set up correctly, I didn't touch the driver. And then I changed over to Yaesu and the model number FTM 7250D. I am using the most current version of Chirp as of November of 2025. So I'm going to hit OK, and it'll remind you, once you hit OK, you have to hit the GM AMS key. So I'll hit OK, and I'll hit that GM AMS key right here. Now it's cloning. I'll pause the video real quick because it takes a little minute. All right, there she is. All right, here looking at the radio, one thing I noticed and forgot about is you can toggle between the frequency and the channel name. When I uploaded all of these channels to this radio, it was only showing the frequencies. I thought I messed up, but really I just had to toggle it for each channel so it would display the channel name. Pretty simple. The reason I stopped using this radio is the main reason is you can't use two tones for one repeater for TX and RX. You have to use one tone for TX and RX. So I eventually pulled this radio out of my truck and then replaced it with a Bendix King EPH radio, or EMH radio. It's an old wildland fire radio. They're not allowed to be used for wildland fire anymore, so you can find them on eBay, and you don't, at least the one I got, you don't have to downband it to the ham bands. I also have a pretty strong collection of the portable radios they made too. These ones, however, you have to downband from 148 megahertz down to 144 using a computer. I have not noticed any loss in sensitivity on the receive. In fact, these are the best portables I've ever used. They're pretty sweet. I have rechargeable batteries for them. Currently on this one I have a clamshell, and the other best part I like about them is you have an external antenna port, so you don't have to unscrew the antenna. It's great. I love it. If you want to buy one, I recommend the GPH model because you can downband that with the Windows 10 computer, and you can find the software for free online.